Hello friends, welcome to the session on communication electronics. In this session, we'll be discussing about pulse amplitude modulation. In short, it is called as PAM. In this session, we will see what we mean by pulse amplitude modulation. We will see the basic principle of pulse amplitude modulation. We will discuss the generation of PAM signal, and we will also discuss the demodulation of PAM signal. Friends, you know that you are viewing this session on my YouTube channel Learn with Prakash Khanade, and do subscribe to the channel to see more videos on the subjects of electronics and computer science. We know that in case of pulse modulation, the modulating signal is a continuous signal, but the carrier signal is in the form of square pulses. Pulse amplitude modulation is a technique in which the amplitude of the carrier pulses is changed in accordance with the amplitude of the modulating signal. So you will find that the PAM signal is similar to that of amplitude modulation technique, in which amplitude of the carrier signal is changed. Here also, the amplitude of the carrier pulses is changed in accordance with the amplitude of modulating signal. You will find that PAM technique is an analog pulse modulation technique. So this is not a digital one. This one is the analog pulse modulation technique. You will find that there are basically two types of PAM. The first type is being called as a single polarity PAM, where we will get the pulses only above the zero level or only above positive in the positive half section only. The another type of the PM is called as the dual polarity PM, in which you will find that it is possible to have the pulses which are having the positive section as well as the negative section. PM technique is a very simple technique, and whenever we want to implement this technique, then it will not require any complex circuits. PM technique is also one of the popular technique because it is very commonly used in Ethernet network communication. PM technique is also used in several microcontrollers for the generation of the control signals. The drawback of the PM technique is that this technique will require larger bandwidth. So any pulse modulation technique will require larger bandwidth. Also, you will find that PM technique will suffer from the noise because the nature of the noise is also of amplitude varying nature, and therefore many times it becomes difficult to separate the noise from the PM signal, and therefore PM technique suffers from the noise. Another disadvantage of the PM is that the transmitter power in PM is not constant due to the changes in the amplitude. So since the amplitude is continuously changing, the power that is being required to transmit such pulses is not constant and it will go on varying. Now we will go for the basic principle of the pulse modulation technique. This is the diagram of pulse modulation, where you will find that the modulating signal is a continuous signal, and when this modulating signal is applied to a multiplier or to a sampler circuit, then we can generate the either dual polarity PM or single polarity PM. In the dual polarity PM, as you observe, that the amplitude of the carrier pulses is changed in accordance with the amplitude of the modulating signal. So when there is a positive half cycle of modulating signal, the carrier pulses will also have positive half cycle. And when there is a negative half cycle of modulating signal, then this dual polarity PM signal will also have negative half cycle. But when a fixed DC voltage is being added into the dual polarity PM, then we will get the single polarity PM pulses. Pulse amplitude modulation is a process in which the amplitude of the carrier pulses is to be changed in accordance with the amplitude of the modulating signal. Observe that in PM, the width and the position of the carrier pulses is kept constant. So there is only change in the amplitude, while the width will remain the same and the position of the pulses will also remain same. So pulse amplitude modulation technique works on the principle of sampling. That is, whenever the modulating signal and the square pulses are connected to a multiplier circuit, then we can generate the PM signal. So PM signal can be easily generated by making the use of sampling process. As I said you that basically we will get the dual polarity PM pulses when we add a fixed DC voltage to the dual polarity PM pulses, then we can easily obtain the single polarity PM pulses. So you will find that the pulse for which there is maximum negative amplitude, then in single polarity PM it will have a minimum amplitude. Now we will go for the block diagram for the generation of PM signal. You will find that this diagram consists of basically a low pass filter, then a multiplier circuit, and then a square wave generator circuit. So the continuous modulating signal is coupled to the low pass filter circuit, or it is passed to through the low pass filter circuit. And because of the low pass filter circuit, you will find that the bandwidth is being restricted. And because of the low pass filter circuit, we can avoid the unwanted frequency component. So this low pass filter circuit will have the cutoff frequency equal to the modulating signal frequency, and therefore only those signals are allowed to pass and all other signals are allowed to be rejected. The pulse train generator is a generator which will generate the continuous square pulses, and you will find that the frequency that is to be maintained is the sampling frequency fs, where fs should be greater than or equal to twice fm. So the sampling theorem must be obeyed in the pulse modulation technique to avoid the distortions at the receiver of the PM. Uniform sampling will take place at the multiplier block. So to this multiplier block, we have applied the continuous signal, modulating signal, and also we have applied the square pulses. And at the output of the multiplier block, you will find that the PM signal is being generated. So at the output of the multiplier, PM signal can be obtained. As shown in these waveforms, when a continuous signal is being applied to a multiplier and sampling pulses, carrier pulses are applied to the multiplier, then at the output, we will get the pulses of which amplitude continuously varies as per the modulating signal. That is, at the output of the multiplier, the PM signal is being generated. So the only precaution that we need to take is that this time period must be kept in such a way that fs is greater than or equal to twice fm, where fm will stand for the frequency of modulating signal. Now we will go for the PM detection. PM detection is reverse process to that of modulation. In detection, we will decode the incoming signal. That is, when PM signal is applied to the PM detector, then at the output, we will get a demodulated PM signal. A detector circuit is a simple low pass filter circuit as shown in this diagram. By using the resistance R and capacitor C, we can easily construct the PM detector. At the input, we have applied the PM signal, and at the output, we will get the original modulating signal. So PM detection is the reverse process to that of modulation. In PM detection, the original modulating signal is being recovered from the PAM signal. So when PM signal is coupled to the low pass filter circuit consisting of resistance and capacitor, then we will know that the capacitor will get charged to the positive peak of each pulse. And before the next pulse comes in, the capacitor will get discharged through the resistance R. So the voltage across the capacitor will slightly reduce because of the discharge before the next pulse is arrived. So this process will go on continuously, and therefore whenever we measure the voltage across the capacitor or whenever we connect a CRO across the capacitor, then you will find that the original modulating signal is being obtained across the capacitor C. As shown in these waveforms, when PAM signal is being connected to the detector circuit, then the capacitor will get charged to the positive peak of each pulse. Now, before the next pulse comes in, the voltage across the capacitor slightly reduces and it again gets charged to the positive peak of the next pulse. So this process goes on continuously, and therefore whenever you observe the voltage across the capacitor C, then you will find that the original modulating signal is being recovered. Thank you friends for viewing this session. Hopefully you have understood what we mean by PM and how the pulse amplitude modulation pulses can be generated, or how the PM pulses can be detected. In our next session, we will discuss about the pulse width modulation. Thank you all for viewing the session.